I'm Ryan Grimm. Welcome to Drop Site News. Israel has effectively cut off internet going into Gaza. To talk about how they pulled this off, what that means, and what it means for reporting inside Gaza Strip, I'm going to be joined now by Sharif Abdel Qaddous, who is the Mideast Bureau Chief for Drop Site News. Sharif, thanks so much for doing this on short notice.
Hey, Ryan. Good to be here.
So I wanted to put up something that Netanyahu said 1 month ago, which foreshadowed this move that they have now made. This is mid-May. According to Channel 14, he said, quote, "We will evacuate them to a sterile area beyond the Morag corridor. And then as far as I'm concerned, you can also build them a Ben & Jerry's factory there. We are done with the raids. We will stay in any territory that gets occupied. Gaza will be completely blacked out, including stopping the supply of internet and electricity," unquote. This is when he also said that they were going to create a, quote, food land compound to replace humanitarian aid, even the aid program that they have up and running at this point. And so they now seem to have done this. They have cut the fiber going into Gaza. What are you hearing from the people who you're in regular contact with in Gaza about what this internet shutoff means, and who are you able to get a hold of?
Well, I mean, this is a problem. This blackout is deliberate and has enormous implications. I haven't been able to reach any of our reporters for the past few days. So the internet was cut in the two most northern governorates of Gaza earlier this week on Monday or Tuesday. So that's North Gaza, which is where Beit Hanun and Beit Lahia and other areas are, and Gaza governorate, which is the biggest governorate with Gaza Strip and Jabalia and Shaja'iyya and all these places. And then the following day, all internet was cut in the south. So Khan Yunis, Rafah, everywhere, basically. So the main way that we get in touch, for example, with our reporters is usually through WhatsApp. I'm sending messages. I'm only getting one check mark. They're not going through. The Palestinian Telecommunications Regulatory Authority then put out a statement yesterday confirming this and saying that all internet and all telecommunication services in Gaza have been cut off. The main fiber route in Gaza was targeted by Israel, and it's part of the systematic targeting of communications infrastructure in Gaza throughout the genocide. And it also said that it's preventing technical crews from repairing the cables that were cut, and it's also obstructing crews from trying to access alternative backup routes. So basically, this is a very deliberate cutoff of communication. And as you mentioned, it's deliberate. Netanyahu said last month Gaza will be completely blacked out, and those remarks he was talking about. Moving them to the south. This is all part of the so-called Gideon's chariots operation, which is effectively to push all the Palestinians in Gaza to the south, have them in this dystopian scenario where, as we've seen since late May, they're forced to trek kilometers to these desolate areas to try and get a meager amount of food. It's not enough to support the 2 million Palestinians. And when they go there, they're being shot at on a daily basis. These are starving people going to get food and being shot at by Israeli forces. But with the blackout, the implications are enormous. I mean, it can completely isolate Gaza from the outside world. And for Palestinians in Gaza also.
Right. Talk about that for me, because the isolation from the rest of the world is ominous and dangerous. But if you're in Gaza and you're trying to get a hold of somebody, if you're trying to find out where the air raids are coming, exactly. if you need help, what is the effect? So is it just shut off? Like people's phones are just like effectively, if they have a normal SIM, just not working.
Yeah, you don't have internet service anymore. So this is the main way that people would find out, for example, there's an airstrike that happened or there's an attack happening, don't go here. Or when an airstrike does happen, it's the main way they get in touch with emergency services, the way they contact civil defense. It's kind of everything, as we know. The internet is vital even if it affects like more broader things like educational services, for example. So much of education in Gaza has gone online because Israel destroyed every university in Gaza, and all the schools have been converted into displacement centers. Scholars have called this scholasticide. But it's deeply, deeply troubling. I mean, the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency, UNRWA, said it lost contact with its colleagues, and it put out a statement, and it said, quote, "This morning, for the first time in months, we did not receive morning messages to say good morning, and we are fine / alive." So, the biggest UN refugee agency is not able to contact anyone. And of course, yeah, it severely affects the media. The reporters on the ground that we've relied on throughout this genocide to shine a light on the daily atrocities that are happening on the ground, there's no way of getting in touch with them. I haven't been able to connect with anyone. I mean, there is one way. So if you have an eSIM, you can connect to Israel's cell phone network. And that way you can have internet. So actually one reporter, Abdul Qadir Sabbah, was able to send some footage. And I've been in touch with him kind of very sporadically, but it's much harder as you have to go somewhere where you can get a signal, and the connection is usually pretty weak.
So basically that would be, for the Israelis who live, near in the envelope around the Strip, like they get cell service through their Israeli eSIM. So how many of those are there roughly, do you think, in Gaza? And
well, eSIMs,
I guess you could produce more.
Yes, you can. I mean, this was happening throughout the war. That you can. This was a way of donating and helping Palestinians in Gaza. You can go online, purchase an eSIM or purchase data for a Palestinian in Gaza, send it to them. They just have to do a couple of things on an app, and then they have the eSIM.
Right.
I'm trying to do that with people I'm connected to on the ground, but I can't get in touch with them.
It's like chicken and egg.
To even send them the eSIM. I believe, some calls, you can make calls, although those have always been very difficult since the beginning. So, it's also, Israel also routinely announces these forcible displacement orders, putting out these maps with, telling people to displace. And this usually causes panic, and most people are forced to move. And it seems that just today they're calling residents by phone, so they're still able to call people, and telling them that the area around the Nasser Medical Complex in Khan Yunis and its surrounding areas have become a displacement zone and a combat zone, and they have to flee. And the Ministry of Health put out a statement saying this is causing widespread panic. And you have to understand, this is the second biggest, what was once the second biggest hospital in the whole of Gaza, second only to Shifa Hospital. It's the only medical facility in the south that has different kinds of essential medical services like dialysis and intensive care and surgery. And if this medical complex is forced to shut down, this will be, just catastrophic humanitarian consequences. Hundreds of patients will probably die. So yeah, it's really a very dire situation, and I don't know how we're, it's the not knowing that's so crucial. Journalists and citizens in Gaza have been so crucial in letting the world know what's happening by posting videos, posting photos, posting testimony online, and this is how we know what has been happening in Gaza, and that's threatened to be cut off now.
And you tell me if you agree with this assessment, but one of the things that's been almost startling to me about the way that Palestinians have responded to this genocide is the resilience and the kind of order, with the maintenance of order with which they've pursued just daily life. Like I think about it, if you locked everybody in Washington, D.C., shut off food, bombed it relentlessly, moved everyone in my neighborhood to a different neighborhood, bombed that neighborhood, moved people from there to a different part of Washington, D.C., and then bombed that. Within hours of that happening, it would be absolute anarchy, total chaos. And despite all of the displacement and the death, you only recently did you start to see scenes of kind of out of control anarchy and chaos, which seems to be kind of the strategic purpose, one of the strategic purposes of this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, this effort to run aid exactly the opposite way as aid organizations have done it, forcing people to walk long distances and then basically compete for little boxes and then carry them back extremely long boxes under fire much of the time. And it feels like that chaos is part of the goal. And I wonder if this too, cutting off of the internet, because now you're leaving people in complete ignorance about where the next strikes are going to come from, where the next operation is going to come from. We were able to hear, like you said, from doctors at Nasser Medical Complex that they're being told that this is becoming an area that's going to get hit. But how do other people learn of that?
Yeah, I mean,
and so then it's just panic and chaos.
Yeah, and a lot of people in Gaza rely on like community WhatsApp groups to pass along information, to just kind of try and retain some semblance of life, right? And the essentials of life, including these catastrophic situations with bombardment and so forth. Gaza, before the genocide, it was one of the most densely populated places on the planet. Half of the population are children, and it's a very close-knit society, very, very close-knit. You'll see kind of the baker taking care of the neighbor's children taking care of other children, kind of everyone. When you work there and you want to interview some family member, everyone will know, oh, that person lives here. It's a very close-knit society. There's been a very, very deliberate assault as part of the genocide to destroy the very fabric of society by Israel, to repeatedly force people into displacement, to starve them, to create absolute desperation, to destroy the police and other security services that were there to kind of protect aid, and to then, as we know now, to arm and fund gangs who engage in looting, and it has caused some, semblance of breakdowns in the society. But as you mentioned, it's been 20 months now, and there is this incredible resilience and different ingenious ways that people find ways of just building a fire and making food and supporting each other. But this can only go so far, and so this has to stop. I mean, just today, again, you can sign up and get the daily kind of health ministry bulletin, and so it gives you the toll of the last 24 hours. The last few days or the last week has been staggering. Every day, like today, 103 killed over the past 24 hours. And then what they have, it's entered the genocide lexicon in a new way, is what the health ministry calls aid massacres. So every day, Palestinians are being killed as they're trying to get aid. And just today, 21 were killed and almost 300 injured as they're just seeking food. So this can't go on, right? And now it's even hard to know what's happening because of this internet blackout.
Right. Well, Sharif, thank you for taking a moment to update us on this. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, and for more, you can go to dropsitenews.com to find our reporting or any of our social media feeds. We'll have regular updates, and hopefully we'll be able to get updates soon from our reporters on the ground. I'm Ryan Grimm. Thank you so much for watching.